Hi dear children, welcome to the third session on the chapter Biomolecules. In this module, we are going to learn about the next type of biomicromolecule, that is lipids. Lipids are water insoluble. They cannot be solubilized in water and they contain carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. But the number of high oxygen atoms is less. Okay, so that's about a general introduction to lipids. Lipids are of three types. They can be simple lipids, compound lipids, or derived lipids. So there are three types of lipids are simple, compound, and derived. So let us learn about all these in detail. What are simple lipids? They are formed of fatty acids and alcohol like glycerol. So they are formed by a combination of fatty acids and alcohol, and this alcohol is nothing but glycerol. So fatty acids are lipids with a hydrocarbon group, and to this hydrocarbon group, this hydrocarbon chain is attached to a carboxyl group. Okay, so it is represented as RCOOH. Okay, so once again, the simple fatty acids, they are formed by combining of the fatty acids with alcohol like glycerol, and fatty acids are lipids which have a hydrocarbon chain which is attached to a carboxyl group. So it is represented as R. R represents a hydrocarbon chain and which is attached to the carboxyl group, that is COOH. So example is palmitic acid, which is having 16 carbon. This is the structure of palmitic acid. We can see it is attached to, this is a hydrocarbon chain, and to its end we can see a carboxyl group. Okay, and arachidonic acid, which is having 20 carbons. Again, over here we can see this is R group, which is to which the COH is attached. So that's about simple lipids in which the fatty acid is attached to a alcohol like glycerol. So there are two types of fatty acids. They can be saturated or unsaturated fatty acids. What is the difference between saturated and unsaturated fatty acids? Those fatty acids which do not have double or triple bonds between the carbon atom, okay, between the carbon atom that is in the hydrocarbon chain, they lack a double bonds or triple bonds. They are called as saturated fatty acids. For example, as the palmitic acid and stearic acid. Here we can see this long chain. It lacks any type of double bonds or triple bonds. Example is this is a structure of stearic acid. Whereas in the case of unsaturated fatty acids, they have one or more double bonded carbons. We can see example is oleic acid and arachidonic acid. Both, all these are simple fatty acids. Okay, so here the structure we can see the double bonded, okay, double bonded, one or more double bonded carbon atoms. Okay, so that's about the different types of fatty acids, saturated and unsaturated fatty acids. Now, this is the structure of glycerol. As we told, simple fatty acid, the fatty acid is combined with an alcohol like glycerol. So, glycerol, it is nothing but trihydroxypropene. You can see trihydroxy, 3-hydroxyl group. Okay, so it's called as trihydroxypropene. So, fatty acids, it can be esterified with glycerol. Okay, it can form ester groups with glycerol through ester bond, and thus it can form monoglycerides, diglycerides and triglycerides. Okay, so as I told, fatty acids which combines with alcohol like glycerol is nothing but simple fatty acids, and these fatty acids, it can form ester bonds with glycerol. You can see this is the structure of glycerol and this is a structure of a fatty acid, and thus over here this hydroxyl group of both the glycerol and the fatty acid, it is removed as a molecule of water and thus it forms an ester group over here. Okay, so if the glycerol is attached to a single fatty acid, it forms a monoglyceride. If the one glycerol is attached to two fatty acids, it is called as diglyceride. And if one glycerol is attached to three fatty acids, it is called as a triglyceride. Here we can see each of the glycerol, we can see 1, 2 and 3 fatty acids attached. Thus it is monoglyceride, diglyceride and triglyceride. Now what is a triglyceride? As glycerol attached to 3 fatty acids. Okay, and here the R1, R2, R3 are nothing but the fatty acids. Okay, here the R1, R2, R3, these are the 3 types of fatty acids attached to glycerol. Such a structure is called as a triglyceride, and based on the melting point, that is, the triglycerides are of 2 types. They can be fats or oils. Fats, they have higher melting point, whereas oils, they have lower melting point. So based on the melting points, triglycerides are of two types. They are fats and oils, in which fats are having higher melting point and oils are having less or a lower melting point. Now the second type, that is compound lipids. So we finished with simple lipids. Now we are going to learn about the compound lipids. They are esters of fatty acids and glycerol. In addition to these both, that is esterified fatty acids with glycerol and fatty acid, they are having an additional group attached to it. For example, phospholipids. Okay, phospholipids we can see here. We can see the glycerol attached to a fatty acid, and again there is a phosphate group attached to it. So an additional group is attached. For example, it's a phospholipids, that is fatty acid plus glycerol plus phosphate, and it is found in the cell membrane. And such a type of compound lipid example is lecithin. So that's about the structure of compound lipids. And the third type is derived lipids. Okay, derived lipids. So they are products of hydrolysis of simple lipids. Simple lipids, as we have told that fatty acids combined with glycerol is called as simple lipids. So hydrolysis of simple lipids and compound lipids. Compound lipids is fatty acids plus glycerol plus an additional group. Okay, so hydrolysis of the simple lipids and the compound lipids yields as derived lipids. For example, is cholesterol. Okay, so this is a structure of cholesterol, which is having four ringed structure. Okay, four ring structure to which a hydroxyl group is attached. So that's about cholesterol, which is nothing but a derived lipid. So dear children, in this module, we learned about the second type of biomicromolecule, that is lipids. We learned about the three different types of lipids: simple, compound and derived. We also learned about the structure of these three different types of lipids. Thank you.